we're going to talk about the huge difference between knowing God's will and actually understanding God's way. They sound similar, but believe me, they are worlds apart. I mean, think about it for a second. You know exactly where you're supposed to end up. You have the goal, you have the promise, it's crystal clear. But the how, the actual path to get there, feels like a total fog. You end up feeling stuck, maybe even a little frustrated. It's such a common feeling, and it's right at the heart of what we're unpacking today. And here it is, the big idea for this whole explainer. Getting the what, God's will, that's just the starting line. The real journey, the part that actually leads to fulfillment and seeing things through, is all about grasping the how, God's way.
So let's really break this down. In this first part, we're looking at why the process you use is every bit as important as the purpose you're trying to achieve. It turns out, your method isn't just some minor detail, it's everything.
This is the classic trap, right? We get this incredible divine vision, a God-given goal, and what do? We immediately switch back to our own logic, our own plans, our own strength to try and make it happen. And that mismatch, trying to achieve a divine goal with a purely human method, it's almost always a recipe for serious frustration.
Now, to really see this in action, let's check out a perfect case study from the Bible. We're going to put two people, Mary and Zacharias, side by side. Both of them got some pretty mind-blowing news from an angel, and they both asked a question that sounds kind of similar on the surface, but their heart posture and the outcomes they got couldn't have been more different.
So first up, we've got Mary. She's just been told she's going to miraculously conceive the Son of God. Her response isn't coming from a place of doubt. It's a genuine practical question. She's basically saying, okay, I'm in. I believe you. Now, can you just give me the instructions? How is this going to work so I can do my part? It's a question of faith that's just looking for direction.
Now, let's contrast that with Zacharias. He's an old man, and the angel tells him his elderly wife is going to have a son. His question sounds a bit like Mary's, but listen to the tone. He's asking, how can I be sure about this? Give me some proof. He's immediately focused on all the problems, his age, his wife's age. This isn't a question of faith, it's a question of doubt that's demanding assurance.
You see, the difference wasn't in the words they used, it was the posture of their hearts. Mary asked for instructions because she was ready to submit, and because of that, she received a revelation about how God was going to do it. Zacharias, on the other hand, he demanded proof from a place of unbelief, and he got a rebuke. He was struck mute. It just goes to show you, God isn't afraid of our questions as long as they come from a heart that wants to obey.
So this brings us to a really important point. What happens when even really good people with the best intentions know the what but get the how completely wrong? These next stories are cautionary tales about the serious cost of choosing the wrong process. Our first example is Abram, who we later know as Abraham. God clearly promises him a son. The will is declared, it's divine. But the waiting takes a long time. So Abram and his wife Sarai decide that maybe God needs a little help. Their plan was based completely on human reasoning. They looked at the problem, Sarai couldn't have children, and they came up with what was, for their culture, a logical solution. Abram would have a child with her handmaid Hagar. It made perfect sense to them, but the result of forcing God's promise through a human method was Ishmael, and that one decision sparked jealousy, conflict, and strife that literally echoed for generations. Now let's look at another really powerful example, King David. His goal was amazing, truly noble. He wanted to bring the Ark of the Covenant, the very symbol of God's presence, back to his capital city, Jerusalem. I mean, you can't have a better intention than that. But as we're about to see, good intentions aren't enough. So David has this awesome goal, but his method was completely flawed. Instead of following God's very specific instructions on how to transport the ark, which was to have it carried on poles by the Levites, he just copied the method the Philistines used and put it on a new ox cart. And when the oxen stumbled, a man named Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the ark and was struck down. The lesson here is just crystal clear. Your good intentions will never, ever be a substitute for God's specific instructions. Okay, so let's circle back to our positive example, to Mary. We've seen how getting the process wrong can lead to disaster. Now let's explore how understanding the right process actually becomes a kind of spiritual protection. This is so key. Just think about it for a second. What if Mary heard the angel's promise and just assumed, oh, okay, this must mean I'm supposed to be with my fiancé Joseph now? She would have acted incorrectly. That simple misunderstanding would have completely disqualified her and derailed God's plan.
Her simple, faithful question, how, was actually an incredible act of wisdom that protected her destiny.
And this is the answer she got. It was the specific crucial piece of information she needed. This wasn't going to be a natural thing. It was going to be supernatural. The how was that the Holy Spirit would make it happen. And with that understanding, she could now move forward in total obedience and faith. So here's the bottom line. Her understanding became her protection. It protected her from making a mistake, from confusion, and from accidentally disqualifying herself from this incredible plan. She didn't just know the destination, she was given the divine roadmap. And that made all the difference.
So what does all this mean for us? How do we take this principle and actually apply it to our own lives? Well, this last section is all about bringing this wisdom home, right where you are today. Just let that sink in for a minute. This quote really sums up everything we've been talking about. Real faith isn't just gritting your teeth and believing that a goal will happen somehow, someday. It's an active trust that means you're willing to wait, to listen, and to follow God's specific process, even when your own way seems faster or, frankly, more logical. And that leads us right here to our final thought. Just take a look at your own life, your goals, the things you're chasing after. Are there any areas where you've been so focused on the what that you've just rushed ahead with your own how? The most practical thing you can do is just pause. Instead of trying to force your plan, take a moment to ask from a place of faith, okay, God, show me your process. What's the next right step? Because trusting that His way is perfect is the only sure path to actually fulfilling His will.